I think it's important to remember you're going to have setbacks. It doesn't go
So I'm not sure who that was that posted the video. It's obviously a pull from Google. It's Sundar Pichai. He's the CEO of Google. If you don't know what he does, he basically oversees everything that Google does. So most of the horrible decisions Google makes, that guy does. And so I'm assuming the other person posted is like a hype video, like a get yourself motivated, you can do it. And here's the problem. Sundar there is talking about how it's the right time to get in the market as an entrepreneur. And I think that's an older video because I remember seeing that a while back. But it's not the right time, and it's not even really a possibility. And I'm an entrepreneur, if you will. I have a business that is doing okay, but it's an oversaturated market, as with many. Many people are motivated to start their own business because, it's better than a job. It's better than, going and working for somebody else. But the reality is the common person, you don't have the capability to become a successful business owner. You can become a business owner. You can make some money. And yes, some people will succeed, but for the vast majority of us, it's just not going to happen. That dream is gone as well. It has been removed thanks to people like Sundar there who run these big companies that squash competition in every shape and form. You can't. One, you don't have the startup capital, and two, let's say you could get a loan big enough to get you a space to rent. Business rents are so high that staying in a physical location is difficult. Also, we know brick and mortar locations are not really a good thing anymore. How many shops do you see in your town that are small mom and pops that end up getting taken out by something bigger, or they just can't afford to stay in business? It's not. It really isn't. You can't become an entrepreneur and do much. Now, I know there's plenty of people who chase clout, and there's plenty of people like, oh, I can. I'm waiting for those comments. I know they're going to show up. But the reality is you can be running a business for so long, and it still fails. I'll pull some statistics. All right, so you can look these rates up anywhere. It's from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and what they find is that 40% of businesses established in 2002, and those a little bit older, failed during the first 3 years of business. So that's 02. So let's look up some updated rates, and we'll find that in 1 year, 20% of all businesses started will fail, and this is small businesses. 3 years, 40% will fail. 5 years will be around 50% of those businesses will fail. So don't think that because you've made it 5-10 years, you're making it. Now, my business is about 5 years old and I'm still doing okay. And then at 10 years, it's into about 70%. 15 years is closer to 75. And in 20 years, 80% of all businesses started will fail. That is a far cry from what business used to be. So if you think that starting a business is going to be one of those things that's just going to make it work, it's not, unfortunately. The only businesses that are making it to that 100% that are lasting are these big conglomerates, these big businesses. And that's mainly because they buy each other out, right? So, let's take Kellogg's, for example. Kellogg's started having issues, they'll buy up other companies to bolster what they're doing. Or if they start failing, somebody else will buy them. The name brand will continue, but that business itself is done. So it's not the safe haven it used to be. Now, I do resell, which is arguably what people would say a harder business to get into, but it can be more stable over the long run. Can be. Doesn't mean it will be. I have struggles in that. Sometimes the stuff that's supposed to sell just isn't. I have stock that's been sitting for at least 3 years that just hasn't gone anywhere because at one point it looked promising in the sold comps. So even with the sold comps in a business like resell, you can't guarantee that's going to be something that's going to work. And translating a resale business into a physical location, I've seen some people try that. There was a YouTube, I'm not going to say star, but somebody was YouTubing. They were vlogging their experience in resale. They opened a bin store to sell. Their store failed. Mainly because a lot of people who are business owners don't have financial savvy to be able to run a business, and they overspend or make bad decisions. Look, I make bad purchase decisions. I've got a few products I bought that aren't going anywhere, that were hot at one point, that just aren't anymore, and now I have them and I have to sit on them and wait until they either become popular again or decide to sell them cheap. And that's a decision you have to make as a business owner. But it is so hard with many businesses to follow trends. I see a lot of people wanting to open up businesses that are failures. They want to open up bookstores. Why would you want to open up a bookstore in the climate today? You can barely sell books online, and people aren't buying books very much at brick and mortar stores anymore. Barnes and Noble is struggling, and they've been one of the biggest booksellers for years. You also have competition from many other markets that didn't exist before, that not as prominently anyway. As a small business owner, Amazon's your direct competition now. Whether or not you're doing online sales, Amazon is your competitor. That means when you're selling products in your storefront, when a customer comes in that door and they see your price and they see what it is on Amazon, they're going to walk out that door and they're going to buy on Amazon. Unfortunately, it's a factor of people not being able to afford the correct price for things, and they're going to have to go at the cheaper price that Amazon offers. And I don't fault customers for that. When a customer messages me and they say, hey, I'd love to buy your item, but it's too expensive, I can get this on Amazon cheaper, I can't sell it to them cheaper. I can't. I have costs that I can't absorb that Amazon is willing to a degree. We see where Amazon's having problems with that now, hence why they're charging extra fees to all their Prime members, because they can't absorb those costs anymore. But yeah, I don't buy Sundar's whole spiel there. It's not a good time. You're not. The only thing you do as an entrepreneur when you enter the market is you provide something for them to crush, destroy, and if you have a unique idea, it's going to get stolen. I'm not even kidding. There are a number of ideas that were once, unique, and then 15,000 online storefronts popped up with it. You want to make t-shirts, for example? Good luck. Look how many amateur t-shirt sites there are for making t-shirts. It is so oversaturated. And even the same designs are getting ripped off. It is awful. So yeah, I don't buy this. Google has its own cult like Tesla does, but it's far fewer people, but those people are still out there.